Certainly when the campaign was started 30 years ago, there was virtually no awareness of breast cancer. The pink ribbon hadn't been invented. October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month didn't exist. And certainly when I was growing up, breast cancer wasn't something that was talked about. And when my grandmother was diagnosed in the early 90s, she found her own lump and was mortified and embarrassed and didn't tell anybody, including her doctor, for way over a year, by which time it unfortunately had spread. And during her treatment and her diagnosis, we didn't know really anything about it, and I don't think she knew much about it either. So that's really why this campaign was started all those years ago, to try to make breast cancer not something that was whispered about, but something that was shouted about.
Culturally, and in some communities, it's still a really delicate subject though, isn't it, in Asian communities?
It's very important, yes, for us to learn about these difficulties because it is such a diverse disease and it affects people differently in different parts of our communities. Different types of breast cancer affect different groups of women very differently. And we're finding out more and more about that and putting more and more of our research money actually into studies to examine how breast cancer can affect different diverse communities.
If you find a lump and you go to your GP and your GP says it's probably nothing, should you be firm in that situation and say, well, maybe it's nothing, but I would like a referral? How important is it to sort of stand your ground?
Well, in my experience from the women I've spoken to, if they found a lump in their breasts, the NHS deals with it very quickly in taking them to the next stage, which is a biopsy. I think sometimes I've heard that people can go to the doctor, especially when they're younger, and just don't feel great. They know, most of us know our bodies and we know when something doesn't feel right, and it might not be something as tangible as a lump. It could just be feeling bad, and then in that case, I think you do have to be very firm to try to get as many tests as you can, at the very least a blood test.
Even really young women. We hear lots about young women getting breast cancer now that perhaps we didn't before. I don't know why that is, but it's not just an old woman's disease, is it?
No, more and more younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. That for sure is a number on the rise, which could be for several reasons. One, a reason that scientists don't know yet, but two, it can be because they are being screened earlier and they are more breast aware. So, for example, during our COVID years, where we couldn't be doing this interview, we couldn't do anything live, we had to rely a lot on social media to get our messaging across, and we did a lot of it. And I did for our breast cancer campaign, I did something talking to women on my Instagram feed about checking their own breasts.
Do you find that the women you meet want something more than just the medical treatment? They need to find other women who are in the same boat as them. It's almost like, I've got to find someone else who's like me.
I think certainly in the studies we've all done, it seems incredibly important for the support groups and for the support that ladies undergoing treatment can get. I mean, we're sitting here in Future Dreams House where people can come, talk to other people who are undergoing treatment and get support and get help and just have respite. And I think with the ambassadors that we're working with now in England, one from the Southeast Asian community, one from the Black community, they've both done exactly that. They're forming support groups and they're finding ways to support women who are going through treatment.
We mustn't forget, one man a day is diagnosed with breast cancer, and they must be desperate to find someone else in their shoes.
I've met men who've had breast cancer and who've had their breasts removed, lumps removed, been through chemo, been through radiation. But also, of course, men are affected by breast cancer by being husbands, fathers, brothers. I mean, they're very affected, of course. We know that.
What would your overall message be to people who are watching this?
I would say be breast aware. Familiarise yourself with your own breasts. Be aware of any changes. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor if you feel there's something wrong. And as you say, be persistent if you really feel there's something wrong. And don't be scared to ask for help, but go quickly. Quickly. Speed is of the essence.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. How much pink do you have in your wardrobe?
Oh, Jackie, I have a lot of pink. I've been doing this for 28 years, and around that time, Evelyn Lauder decided to invent a ribbon to represent breast cancer around the world. And she was inspired by the AIDS activists who at that time in the early 90s had a red ribbon to educate everybody about AIDS. And she thought we should have a ribbon, co-created the ribbon with a lady called Alexandra Penny, who was the editor of Self magazine. And they decided to make it pink because they said pink was a colour that every woman could wear in a certain shade and that it was out there and would really make people remember the campaign, which at that time was mostly about awareness. So the pink ribbon was born. My pink wardrobe started to grow, and I would say today probably 25% of my wardrobe is pink. And I love it. I wear pink all year round, but I always think of the pink ribbon and Evelyn every time I put something pink on.
So, Jackie, such important advice there that she was sharing, wasn't it? Everyone should sit up and listen.
Yeah, absolutely. If you find something, you might not like it, but it's better to know than not know what it is. 9 times out of 10, if you find a lump, it's probably absolutely nothing and benign. But you just never know, and it could save your life if you act quickly. People don't have time for breast cancer. Women don't have time for it. They're very, very busy. No one does, but you have to get it sorted as quickly as possible because your chances then are so much better.
Yeah,
Most people survive it.